Hey, babe. Hello, all, and welcome to the Affluent Marriage Pod.
Graham Fam style.
You're listening to one financial coach and one educator talk about living a rich and full marriage through generational wealth building principles, authentic two-way communication, and everything in between to become a couple that lives in love and walks in wealth. Your legacy begins here.
Graham Fam.
Welcome
to the second installment.
Welcome back
to our deep dive.
If you did not have a chance, Graham Fam, to go back and listen to our Graham Fam edition on networking and relationships, we told you that 86% of millionaires have a mentor in their life.
Yeah.
And that is critical to building generational wealth. So if you don't have a mentor, someone who is a few steps ahead of you, talking with you, guiding you, someone you meet with every quarter, you got to find that.
You need to find that person. on the interwebs, you're probably noticing some people in your stories or in your feed that you see that are super successful, but they're still accessible. That's the thing. A lot of times when you meet someone or you hear of someone who has like this like stature of wealth, they seem untouchable. Like there's no way I'm going to be able to get a seat at the table with them. But there are people who are literally in your feed that you might have connected with. Maybe you rub shoulders with them at like, I don't know, in some type of a space, and you have the opportunity to talk to them, but you thought to yourself, I don't know, I'm a little bit nervous. Like, go drop a DM, say, hey, I just really love everything you're doing, and I would love to be able to like take you out for coffee virtually. Like, can I buy you a coffee? Can I like do something just because I want to understand what's going on in your world? That not only will that flatter them, but that also will help them see like, oh, this person's serious, right? And that is something, that authentic connection with another person is so important. And I don't know, you're going to start seeing that the people in your feed is where I see it are people who like, you can look through the names and you go, oh, yep, that's a person that, you know how they say like that statistic, you're like, I think we've said it before, like you are like the average of the amount of people that you hang around.
20%. So your income is going to be about 20% of the people that you hang around on average.
Right. And so I think like if your Facebook feed is filled with people who are at this higher caliber of where you'd like to be, they're a couple of steps ahead of you, and you're connecting with them, even if it's just by, liking their content, sharing their content, being in their DMs and asking them questions, obviously not in a naggy way, but just like in a conversational discussion way, it's impossible not to be infected in the positive way by what they're putting out, whether that you like see yourself differently, you show up differently, you see the things that they're doing and you're like, wow, this is actually working. Like I see this for myself as well. I'm going to do it my way. Because that's how you start making your own path towards that in the world. So like really look at like your Facebook feed, your LinkedIn feed, your Instagram feed, and think the people that you follow that you look at most of the time, like, do they even know who you are? Have you attempted to connect with them? And if I've looked through them and maybe they're not people that I'm like challenged by, then maybe you need to rethink who you're following.
I love that last episode was so impactful that it bled over into this episode. It was a great little piece of, it was a phenomenal piece of information that you just provided people. That was excellent.
Oh, thank you.
No, it was really good.
I hope it was helpful for people who are listening. Right? That's the point.
So we are embarking into new territory, Kim.
Boom, boom, boom.
Rachel is behind us. And what lies ahead is a one-on-one battle between you and I.
Yes.
Motivation versus discipline.
This is a really interesting conversation that Daniel was mentioning to me about like the content and how he wanted to see the podcast go. And he goes, I think we should talk about, motivating, the things that are around you that are motivating you to be able to get to the goals that you want. And I looked at him and I said, no, motivation sucks. And he was like, what? And I was like, motivation is like no, you don't want motivation. You want discipline. And he's like, no, I feel like motivation is really important. And I was like, no, discipline is where you're going to be able to see things. So then we came up with this like, oh, this is a battle, isn't it?
It is a battle.
It's a battle.
And it's on.
Which one is more important, motivation or discipline?
Well,
that wasn't me asking.
Yeah, it's motivation. So I think the conversation's over.
Okay, well.
But before I take you down, just a couple of reminders. Every Monday we drop new content for the Every Person, and every Thursday we drop this exclusive content just for you, Graham Fam.
Just for you, Graham
So
Fam.
check us out every Thursday. or every Monday to
Yeah.
find that new content.
Also, don't be afraid to, if you're friends with us on Insta, ask us questions. We love people like asking us questions, asking us, any details that they're like, hey, what about this situation, that situation? I loved this part about this podcast. That's going to be super helpful for us. We're going to be able to bring it here if you have extra questions so that we can support you and, shout you out. And if you want to be shouted out.
And I think our goal now is to go live right before our Monday episode.
Yeah.
And just be live for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes if you're
Yeah.
available before we record. Our recording time is all over the place because it's really just when we get our children to bed.
Yes.
But we'll take questions, and one of those questions we'll talk about right there on the show.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And yes, you might also, I think that's just something that we just need to make as this is just our world. You might hear our children in the background. That is our life. But we're making it happen no matter what.
Correct.
So,
Are you ready?
Sorry, not sorry.
I don't think you're ready
For this jelly?
for this jelly. I don't think you can handle it.
I don't think you can handle it.
But here we go.
Let's do
Motivation. I couldn't think of a better way to start off this, motivation discipline battle than with a little drop kick to your face.
Oh my
I've got
gosh.
a quote here.
See, here's the thing. He writes
Harv
notes, and I don't have notes. I never have notes.
Right, but look,
So now he has like a like running playbook of like notes and quotes and percentages and statistics. I did not come prepared to this fight. This is already, it's okay. I have client.
y'all suckers about to
Stories.
get served.
I got clients.
I'm about to stomp the yard.
That's what I got. I got
and
actual
other dance honey.
actionable.
I'm about to honey.
Okay. All right. Let's do this.
So I'm going to give this quote to you, but first of all, the notes that I have here, a lot of it is just our outline so that I can keep us on track.
Okay.
It's not all full of like ways to destroy Kim.
But
there
it
is some
is.
stuff in there.
But it is.
And you're going down. But here's my first quote. And really, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, I can't think of a better way to start off this show than with this banger. All right, you ready for this quote of motivation? I was reading this and it just hit me. And maybe it'll hit you too. T. Harv Eker says, if you are not fully, totally, and truly committed to creating wealth, chances are you won't.
You won't. That's such a good one. That's a good quote. If you have not read that book, Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, you need to get on it. That's another good book, easy read, but very motivating.
It is. And for
Very
me,
motivating.
when I heard that quote, I mean, man, it just makes you think like, how bad
Do I want it?
do you want it?
How bad do I want it?
There were times in our journey where we were kind of just going through the motions, but then there were some times when
Yeah.
we really got intense and we, if you asked us that question, like, how bad do you want it? Like, man, we could rattle off all the sacrifices we were making, the things that we were doing every single day to get to our goal.
Right. And the thing is, like, we started off, I think, just kind of like mediocre, 80%.
I agree.
Because we were doing more than what the average person would do, right? I would say that more than the average person, because the average person, the everyday person, isn't really looking at their money consistently. They are only looking at their money when there's an issue with their money, and they wonder why they have an issue with mindset with their money. But when you only look at your money when there's an issue, like, that's just a no-brainer right there, So the whole goal is to make sure that you're making like an understanding of where your money is going. And we were doing more than what the average person was doing. The average person isn't even looking at their money only when there's an issue, right? We were at least looking at our money consistently because we just wanted to be able to go, okay, like we wanted to understand our habits. That's the first part. I think that was just more than mediocre. But then we got into this part where this quote comes into play, where we were realizing that we were fully, totally, and truly committed to creating wealth and creating our own story with our finances. And we recognized that this financial blueprint, that was our ticket to getting the life that we desired. And for us, that was like, oh, we are committed. And that's when we got, like, as Dave Ramsey says, gazelle intense. It was a lot intense.
And I will say this, I liken it to a puzzle. Anytime you start something new, I'm not like an avid puzzler, but I tend to.
about to do some puzzling.
You just stole that from me, and I love you, but I'm also so
You're
mad
so
about
mad.
it. I was building up to that, but I'm going to do it anyway. I wouldn't consider myself an avid puzzler, but I've been known to puzzle, you know? But here's the deal. When you open up a puzzle, you crack that thing open and you pour out those pieces or whatever your method
Excited
is.
about, yeah.
It can be a little overwhelming at first.
Right.
Right? Because you see all of these pieces and nothing is connected and you're like, I gotta figure this out. It can be overwhelming.
Right.
It can be like that with anything that you start that it's new, but since we're talking about building wealth, right? Getting your budget, like when we were first starting our marriage and like it was overwhelming and it took us a lot of time.
Yes.
But as you start to put the pieces together, you might do a little bit one day and then come back the next day. But there comes a point in your puzzling. Winston about to do some puzzling.
I love these New Girl quotes. This is great.
There comes a point where you can't walk away from the puzzle. You're so close, you can taste it. Or maybe you're about to finish a section. You're like, oh, I'm almost done with the border. Or, oh, I'm almost done with this quadrant. Like, and you just can't walk away. You're like, I know what time it is and I know I've got other things going on, but I have to finish this because you're just so motivated to finish. Right. But I'm just saying the story that you told, I liken it to that, right?
Yes.
That quote, how bad do you want it? It ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to want it bad.
Yeah.
And you're going to do everything it can takes to finish whatever that goal is.
Right.
And then once you finish that goal, like you might ease off a little bit.
Yes. And at this point is when I tell people, go on vacation. Enjoy doing something that's not because the rigorous at it, looking at the money and like doing all the jobs, like you can't do that's not sustainable. You knowing where your money is going, that helps you become sustainable. But why do we do that? So that we work hard and so that we can play hard, right? So when you go on vacations, when you buy that thing that you've been looking at for the last couple of months, when you finally reach a certain pinnacle or a certain milestone in your money journey, enjoy yourself. So I tell people all the time, please do not wait until you get to a certain income status that is when you're like, that's when I can enjoy my money. No, find a way to enjoy your money as the journey ebbs and flows, because if you don't, you're going to feel like you're a prisoner to the discipline that you've put into yourself. We don't want you to be a slave to the discipline, right? We want you to be able to say, okay, you know what? I love my money. I do want it bad, but you know what? This lifestyle that I'm reaching for, I want that bad too. It's a part of it. They go hand in hand. And so, yeah, that's when I tell my clients, please go book yourself a vacation and pay for it in cash and enjoy yourself, enjoy your family, get all the Mai Tais you want. I want my clients to truly just enjoy themselves because they deserve it.
And while you're going through it, this could be a whole nother, episode that we do, but there are ways to have fun and have a good time while you're broke.
Oh, 100%. We should totally do a list.
That would be, things to do while broke.
Yeah, things to do
that are
while
still
broke.
fun with your spouse.
Maybe not even broke, but just when you're trying to watch where your money is going, but you still want to have a good time.
When you're broke.
Okay, when you're broke.
No, just when you're going through it and you're working towards a goal.
And
you don't want to interfere with your goal.
And nobody's got to know. Nobody's got to know that you're broke. It's just, these are some things that you can do, especially as a couple, to still be able to enjoy life and all the things life offers without feeling like you have to break the bank.
So here's what I want to do. I want to kick this show off with talking about what motivation is, just so we have, I always like starting that way, just, a little bit of a definition. And I know you don't have notes, but maybe you could tell us a little bit about how you would define discipline.
I love
what does that look like?
You took notes even about what motivation is, but did you write notes about what discipline is?
Well, that would give you an upper hand, would it not?
Oh my goodness gracious. Do I have to look it up right now while you're saying this?
This show is all about me. Look, you've got
You said I was the star.
Years of business experience. You're a six-figure business owner. Multi six-figure business owner.
I'm working towards the multi, so that's why
I'm
I keep
a teacher in the public school system. All right?
Yeah. Okay.
Just take this smack down with
grace.
With grace. All right. So no, again, this is just an outline, right? So what is motivation, right? Motivation is simply a drive or a desire to achieve a goal. And motivation can be influenced by a lot of different factors. You could be influenced by social factors. Maybe you want to achieve a goal because other people have achieved that goal.
Right.
Or maybe because of what other people think about you. I want to lose weight because of how people perceive me, right? There's social factors that can influence your motivation. There are, beliefs and values. There's personal goals. These are all things that can influence your motivation. What are you doing over there?
No.
Oh,
Don't worry. I'm just,
Yeah, if you go on YouTube, you might be able to see, her eyes are kind of peering over to the right. But
Okay.
motivation, can be broken into two different types of motivation, right? We talk to our kids about this, and we have intrinsic motivation and we have extrinsic motivation.
Such an important factor. Yeah.
Right. A lot of times in the school system, when someone is not making goals, they try to find extrinsic. I said extrinsic. They try to find those external factors to try to motivate these students, right? Which I'll just say is like, give them a cookie. Now, we're not giving food to kids in school, but
stickers.
What you want, a cookie? Like extrinsic motivators are, I'm motivated by the cookie.
Right.
I want this because I'm going to receive this.
Right.
And everyone and their mom will tell you extrinsic motivators are not it.
They're not continuous. They're not consistent. They're not sustainable.
It might be a way to start and get someone like jump started with their motivation, but what ultimate goal is to get them to
intrinsic motivation.
Which is an internal motivation. You want it just because you want it.
Right. You have your own reasons, your own, you have that own, that chip on your shoulder. I think we've been talking about
got a chip on
Legally Blonde, the musical, and there's a song called Chip on Your Shoulder.
With the chance you've been given.
Yeah, you got to be driven, right? So the intrinsic motivation is nobody can shake me. This is something that I desire within myself, and it doesn't matter what's happening on the outside, which I do think, and I know you're not done with your definition, but that intrinsic motivation leads to discipline, because that's what it's translating to, is that I have the discipline, that I know that I have these things that I have to do to create the thing that I desire, to create the outcome that I desire. I know that I want it. I need to know the strategies of how to do it. And I need to repeat it over and over and over again. That's that discipline. And so as that comes into play, you're going to get the outcome that you desire. If you stick with extrinsic motivation and you're waiting for, the next motivational video to come across, or the next coach to come by and pat your head, the next person to come around and go, you can do it, you got this. You are relying on extrinsic motivation to then ignite that intrinsic motivation for a moment, but it's not truly embedded in your psyche. It goes back to how bad do you really want it? You have moments, but how bad do you really want it?
Yeah, I liken motivation a lot to a kindle to a flame, or a spark to a flame, right? It gets the fire ignition going, right? But discipline, I would agree, discipline is what's going to keep your fire burning.
Correct.
It's going to keep you from burnout.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, 100%.
So why is motivation essential? Motivation is essential because it helps you pursue your goals, helps you overcome obstacles, and persist in the face of adversity, right? That's what's motivating you to overcome, right? When you're at the gym and you're getting tired, or maybe you don't want to go that day, but you're that close to your goals,
right?
That motivation is going to kick in, and you're like, you know what? I don't want to get up this morning, but I'm going to go do it. Or if, you're super close to that, saving up for that vacation, or you're super close to saving up for that car, that down payment, whatever it is, that motivation is going to kick in, and that's going to keep you from going out and buying Starbucks that day, or whatever else it is that's going to keep you from your goals ultimately.
Poor Starbucks. They're probably the butt of a lot of money jokes. I do recognize that Starbucks is not the evil one. It's not the reason you're broke.
They're good.
But they're good. I mean,
and if you look at your budget, right? Not everyone's a coffee drinker, but if you look at your budget, there's something that, if you're not aware of your budget, there is something that you're spending money on every month.
You don't even recognize
that you don't even know.
Right. And
for a lot of people, it's eating out, right? At restaurants.
For a majority of my clients, it's eating out. In fact, a lot of the clients, I had one client one time that came to me. We did an analysis of what they spent the last 30 days, which anybody can do. You can do an analysis of what you spent the last 30 days. I challenge you to do this and categorize it. And I noticed two things. One, I'll have some clients that say, oh, but I use my bank card, but I also use my credit card, and I also use this card, and some of it like goes over here and over here. That immediately tells me that there's no rhyme or reason to the way that your money is leaving your accounts. It's just a big smorgasbord of just like robbing Peter to pay Paul, that type of thing, where we're just throwing things like we just got money everywhere and we're just doing, there's no organization whatsoever, which makes it really hard to or like get started. You don't know where to begin because it's everywhere. So that's a good thing for my clients to first recognize. The second thing that they recognize is as they look through everything, they would think, oh, I know that my biggest category is probably eating out. Could they tell me a number? They could probably give me a roundabout number, but they don't know. When they actually see the number of how much they've spent over the last 30 days and going out to eat or in a specific category, that's when it turns from motivation of like, oh yeah, whatever, to intrinsic, like, no way. I'm putting this much aside into what's going into my mouth. Like, what? Like,
right.
what?
It satisfies you for that moment, but then
right?
4 hours later, you're hungry again.
Yeah. One client had $1,200 worth of subscriptions and eating out put together over a course of a month. And that's when her brain, she was like, oh my goodness, there's no way. There's no way that I really did this. Like, it made her sick to her stomach, like gave her a physical reaction.
And I'm sure there's listeners that are like, oh my gosh, $1,200, that's absurd. But I bet if you looked at your budget,
I bet
you it's like 600, maybe it's 1,200, maybe it's 300.
I bet you need to look.
I bet you it's a number that you're not proud of.
Right. I bet you that if you look at the subscriptions, at the food, of whatever, you're going to be surprised by some of these aspects, by some of these like categories. And that's the reason why I have that as the very first activity that I have my clients do, because I need them, again, going back to motivation, which I don't think is a bad thing. We have to start, it's the spark to the fire, right? So we have to go back to that intrinsic. I have to make them have that intrinsic motivation because I can't want it badly for you. You can tell me that you have all this debt. You can tell me that you're feeling like, oh, woe is me. I really want this and I know that I deserve this, but I mean, I just don't know how to get from point A to point B. You can tell me all these things. You can be motivated by seeing stories that I share about my clients or hearing our story. You can be motivated by that, but that's extrinsic motivation. You're looking at other examples, but you have to be ignited in what your numbers are telling you and your habits, your routine is telling you. And when you're ignited by that intrinsic, like, oh my goodness, this cannot stand. I am not okay with this. This is the reason why I am not at my point B, and I have to be the one to change this. Just like I caused myself to get to this place, I am taking responsibility that I have to get here. And then the other part comes in, that's my favorite part, is the discipline.
So I want to hear what you have to say, your definition. Just give us a little recap on what that is, because I've said motivation, because at the end of this, I want to know, are you team motivation or are you team discipline?
Ooh,
so I said...
Do you want to know if the listeners are team motivation or team discipline?
Okay. Absolutely.
Okay.
I need that.
You need that? All right.
I feed off of that.
Okay.
So real quick, just a reminder, motivation refers to the drive, desire, or willingness to engage in a particular behavior or achieve a specific goal.
Yes. In my opinion, I think that discipline, and I got a little, while he was talking, I looked up the definition because I don't have that ready because
I love it.
Didn't know we were doing that. But it's the practice of training to obey rules or code of behavior. It says using punishment to correct disobedience, which I don't necessarily agree that we should use punishment. I think that there's a right way to do this, but I love that it's talking about training, right? It's talking about practice, and it's talking about the strategic, like that's really what I think discipline boils down to, is that it is strategic and that it is, it's consistency. And that's the part that I feel like many people are missing. I used to have a sticker, which is why I said that I don't believe in motivation or I don't like motivation, is that I had this sticker that I would give to my clients that said, that's a discipline over motivation. The reason being is that you can be motivated, just like I said, by watching a story, by looking at something, by seeing, oh, I could, if I put, $300 more away towards my investments, I'd be a millionaire by the time I'm blah, blah, blah. You can know these things. You can even within yourself look at your numbers and do a quick analysis, see the numbers that I just mentioned to you before and do the category activities and you can know I could do better in this area, this area, and this area. The same way that someone can go to the gym and they can step on the scale and they can go to their doctor, they can get all the blood work done, and they can know, I need to do step A, B, and C in order to get to my goal. They can know all of those things. They have the intrinsic motivation, sure, but they don't have the day-to-day, like they don't have the strategy, they don't have the routine, they don't have the step-by-step, they don't know, they don't want to put that into practice. And when you don't put it into practice, you are going to be going around the same wheel. You're going to be saying, look, I made a little bit of change. I know people are going to listen to this and they're going to hear me. You might have got that app, that, like EveryDollar app or the Mint. I can't tell you how many people come to me and go, well, I got the Mint and it worked for like, a month or two. And then I don't know, something happened and I just couldn't figure it out. And so then I stopped, right? Intrinsic motivation can only get you so far, and then it stops because something else came up and you just don't have a strategy of how to overcome it. And that's when I say motivation sucks. Discipline is what you're looking for, because when you have a routine that's so set in place and a consistency behind that intrinsic motivation, that's when the change actually occurs. You can know what you need to do. You can know it, but you have to do something with it, not just for 2 months, for the long haul. Like, you have to go back to that quotation. How bad do you want it? How bad are you willing to stick to that routine? That's where you're going to get the results.
Yeah, you said you didn't like that idea of punishment, but
there is punishment with it. You're right.
There is a punishment, right? If you do not have good discipline, if you have poor discipline and you need a correction, life is going to correct you.
It's true.
There is a punishment for poor financial awareness and poor financial decisions,
That's so
whether
true.
you like it or not.
That's very true.
Right? That credit card is going to hit its max. Your budget is going to run out. Your dollars in your savings are going to run out, right? It's going to come to collect,
Yep.
Whether you like it or not. And that ultimately is your punishment. You want to go do things, but you can't.
Right.
Right. But then another punishment in the eyes of someone who is doing well with their finances, the punishment might be as something as simple as delayed gratification.
Yes. And that might be, if you're really talking about pros and cons, that's probably the worst, I guess, side effect of managing your money and saying, like, I'm going to be disciplined and I want this so badly. I would say that's the worst side effect. Have you ever watched those like prescription TV commercials? My mom and I used to laugh at those all the time because, like, we still do. We just kind of giggle. There will be talking about a specific issue like asthma, but then they'll be talking about this prescription and how it's going to be able to help you with your asthma, but here's all the side effects that are going to go along with it. And it's like diarrhea, chance of, certain types of like failure, and there's this, and you might be hospitalized, and it's all these things. And the people are just like, in the prescription commercial, and they're all like skipping, and they're so excited because their one symptom is gone, but there's all these other side effects that came with this medication that created more issues for you. So all that to say, I would say that one side effect of managing your money well, I pretty much think there's only one: delayed gratification.
Yeah, you got to tell the toddler inside of you to shut up.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants things.
Everybody wants it.
I want this. I want that. I want this. I want that. But you got to tell yourself to shut up.
Yeah.
And you got to,
no, you don't need that right now.
Be an adult. Be the adult that you are. Be the adult in the room. Tell yourself to shut up and do what you're supposed to do.
Yep.
You know that you can't go buy that thing right now, or that you should wait until the next paycheck, or you should put money aside and then once you hit your number, go get it. You know that, but it's hard to do that.
It is.
If you don't have the
discipline.
If you don't have the discipline, right?
Yeah.
I agree with you. You got to be disciplined.
You have to be. It's funny. This is the biggest issue that my clients have, right? So my clients will get to the point where they're becoming debt free, they're understanding where their money is going, and they're like feeling really good. And I tell them, you have to build in the fun. You have to build in the little bit of like splurging. You have to build it into your system, because if you go there's just extremes to both sides, right? And so a lot of my clients are going from one extreme to the other. My job is to bring them like not to the extreme, but like where they're very much aware of their finances, but they're also able to still have fun. Like, I don't want you to be rigid. I don't want you to be like a military general. I want you to enjoy your money, right? But I've noticed that a lot of them will come back and they'll go, Kim, I love so much what I'm doing with my money. I love how much I'm investing. I feel so good about my money. And I'm like on top of it. But I'm now having guilt when I spend it. And now we have like a different issue where I have to tell them, spend the money, spend the money. And it's so much fun to tell them, yes, spend the money, honey, spend it. You've worked really hard. Go get that bag. Go, like go on that vacation. Yep. Spend, get the concierge level. I don't care. Get it. You know what I mean? Like you've deserved it. And that to me is like the best part of my job is when I get to tell my clients to spend their money because they've worked so hard being on the opposite side of the lens where they were just spending all the time and they were feeling all the side effects. There's so many side effects with not knowing what's going on with your money. There's anxiety, sleepless nights. There's, bodily, literally your body will start to shut down as a result of it. Like you're unable to focus because you can't even focus on the things that are important because you're so focused on whether you're going to be able to pay bills. There's inconsistency to organize your finances. There's hardship between communication with your spouse. There's, oh my gosh, you could be going underwater with different things like your home, your cars. You're unable to get things that you truly need and in the time that you need them, i.e., vehicles, or if your kid is sick and they need a certain type of medication. It affects everything when you don't have it together. Like you ask me, I would gladly take the delayed gratification
as punishment
rather than the punishment you're giving yourself right now if you're like on the other side of that spectrum.
So here's where I'm going. What is motivating you? We broke down what discipline and motivation is, what they are. Mm-hmm. Now, what is motivating you? I've got another quote here, and I think you'll agree with this one. Mm-hmm. If your motivation for acquiring money or success comes from a non-supportive root, such as fear or anger or the need to prove yourself, your money will never bring you happiness.
That's so true.
A lot of people are pursuing wealth for the wrong reasons, right? You want more money because, man, all of my friends go on these amazing trips and they have such a good time. And man, I want that. Like I want money for that reason. Well, if you're chasing money for that reason,
you're going to be rooted in jealousy.
It's rooted in jealousy, right? Or I just want more money because I just love money and what it can do. And I just love money. So are you rooted in greed?
Right.
Are you rooted in jealousy? Mm-hmm. I just don't want to, I'm just so scared that I'm not going to have enough to pay my bills. And like, what if emergency happens? Like, I'm just so afraid. Like, I need more money just in case. So are you rooted in fear?
Yeah.
Like these things are never going to bring you happiness. Even when you get that wealth, it's not going to bring you, there's always going to be, I need more money.
This level of fear. Right. And I noticed that too. I'm sorry I keep bringing up my clients, but like these are literally the things that we talk about most of the time in our...
No, this is why I want people to listen to you.
Yeah.
Because you've been in this business for quite a bit of time now, and you've worked with a number of clients, and you're a successful business owner, and you're successful for a reason because you've actually helped people.
Yeah.
So if people are listening to you and they hear these stories of your clients and they've seen how you've helped them, then they're getting help.
Yeah.
So
true.
Don't ever stop sharing about your clients.
Thank you. I appreciate that, babe. I accept I'm being a gracious
My motivation.
receiver.
Did I just motivate you to share this story?
Oh my gosh. I'm being a gracious receiver.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that this is a big part. You need to know where it's coming from because if it's rooted in fear, you're constantly going to feel fear. You're going to be waiting for the other shoe to drop. And a lot of the conversations I have with my clients is helping them get out of that mindset because I have clients who make, like, again, good money. They might have money like separated into lots of different accounts for different like purposes, but yet they're still feeling fear. And so we have to combat that. I just had this conversation a couple weeks ago where I was talking to someone and I said, hey, I want you to tell me your worst case scenario right now. Like, what are you truly afraid of when it comes to investing? She was going to get someone to help her out with, getting more leads in her pipeline for her business. And I said, what are you really afraid of? And she was like, well, what if there's something that happens and I'm unable to pay myself? Or I'm unable to take care of this, that, and the other. And so all of these fears started coming out. So what we did was we wrote them down. And I said, okay, all right. So I said, let's go back into these things and let's really break it down. How much do you think it would cost if there was one of the issues that you said was a tax situation? what if there was a tax situation you needed to pay like what, $12,000? She's like, yeah. Like if I had to do $12,000, like if there was a tax scare, which is a big deal to entrepreneurs. We went through a tax scare ourselves a couple of years ago. We'll talk about that on another episode. But there was another thing where she was like, yeah, if my kid needed, such and such, and I needed to stay home for 2 weeks, or we needed to go on vacation, or we had an emergency. So we literally just started writing out like, how much does it cost for you? Do you need to bring into your home, for everything to continue to run? How much do you need for all these things, right? So as we came up with all these numbers, we recognized that she had more than enough into all of these different places, and we're building in a routine where she's putting in all money into continuously filling all these different places, these different buckets, so to speak. And I said, would you be able to handle any of those situations you just mentioned today if any of these things happened? And then when she looked at everything, she recognized, yeah, I would be able to. And I was like, okay. And if you were able to hire someone right now, how many months would you be able to pay them before you're like, oh crap, like I don't have money? And it was like several months. And so at that point, I was able to tell her, like, do you really have anything that you have to fear? And it was at that point that she was like, oh, I don't need to be scared of my money. And I'm like, no, you've been doing a great job. Like sometimes my clients are doing great job with their money, but they're so rooted in fear. They've been hoarding out of fear instead of hoarding with purpose. And that's the reason why they have such poor money management. They don't even see the wealth that they've already been building in front of them. And so, yeah, that is definitely a big one. You need to understand, what are you doing this and what is it rooted in? That's a big one.
Is motivating you? So I'm going to talk a little bit about what's motivated me with this podcast as we go into how to motivate yourself. And
I'm going to talk about how to discipline yourself. Is that in there too?
It's not.
I'm going to talk about how to discipline yourself.
I love that. And I think as we go through these, you can kind of incorporate discipline into it and say how discipline plays a factor.
Because I see this as like only going towards motivation.
It is. Well, I told you I play to win.
Oh my goodness.
So this is all about motivation,
Y'all,
baby.
You know discipline's better.
Let me talk about this. I mean, Kimberly and I are very motivated people. And we have goals that we're trying to accomplish this summer. So it's going to be exciting this summer when we go back and listen to this episode and see like, oh yeah, we were talking about those things and now they're done, right? Coming to a summer near you. I'm going to be a minivan dad.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I'm going to be a minivan dad.
Excited.
We are saving up every month for this minivan, and we're looking to put about 50% down. And then goal. We're going to, as quickly as possible pay off the rest of that car note, right?
And this is a different strategy than we tried before. Normally we pay for our cars in cash. That's been like the DR way.
And we were able to do that
differently.
We were able to do that with our Nissan Altima, which we bought from your family, and the Nissan Rogue that we bought used from a dealership. But this one, it's going to be a little bit more hefty of a price tag because it's going to be a little bit of a newer vehicle.
But the other reason why that's the case is because we have all these other things that we're going to mention happening at the same time.
Yes.
If they weren't happening, we would have been able to do it.
Yes. And we also know what the value of a car looks like right now, right? It's a lot different right now post-pandemic than it was pre-pandemic.
It's true.
So that's something to keep in mind as well. But I had this plan of how I was going to acquire money throughout every single month up until the summer.
Yes, this is a good story.
Right? Mm-hmm. And one of my plans was to work this side gig through the Howard County Public School System. I was going to do Saturday schools, not like the disciplinarian type that, I actually went to a Saturday school when I was a kid.
You did?
I did because I was misbehaving.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't think I ever told you that.
Bad boy.
It was middle school. Everyone sucks in middle school. Now,
you did.
I wanted to work. It was almost like a tutoring program to help ramp kids up and get them ready for the next quarter. So I had this on there that I was going to apply for this job. And me with my boldness and confidence, I was going to get this job.
Oh, yeah.
And for the first quarter, when it came at the end of the first quarter for this time to apply, I did all the things. I emailed multiple times. I connected. I networked. And I thought I'd get a chance to do it. And I didn't get that call.
Yeah.
And when I hit them up, they said, nope, we're all full. So, I was upset about that, but I was motivated to get that job. So what did I do?
And you used your discipline.
This is the discipline.
This is the discipline.
Week.
Yup.
For the second quarter of the school year.
Discipline.
I emailed the leader of that program and said, I want to work for you. This is my name. This is my I had a different question or a different thing to say every single week.
That's a good tip if you're trying to get a job.
For those 10 weeks of the quarter, she got 10 plus emails. I was always on their radar.
See,
right?
There's a difference. Motivation, discipline.
But something happened, in the final weeks of the quarter. Like I was not getting responses and the person went radio silent on me.
Yeah.
So I sent more emails. And then eventually it was a week past the quarter. And, I'm just like, hey, I'm starting to tag people in it, attach people in the email that are a little higher up because I want answers. You know what I mean? And I'm like, hey, what's up? Like I sent all these emails, like we were talking and then it went radio silent. Like here we are a week past the quarter. Like what's up? And they told me, oh, we're sorry. We had less numbers this quarter and all the positions are full at this time. And I'm like, there was never even an application process. So it was very clear to me that this must be like an inside thing.
Right.
Where like the people that have these
interested.
jobs, they're just going to keep giving these same people the jobs. And there's no chance for people on the outside to get in. And I got mad. Like I got upset about it, right?
Oh, yes.
So what did I do with my anger and motivation?
I think this is a really good thing too, right? Because there are going to be things that happen in your life, in your financial journey that are going to piss you off. And you have a choice. You can either be like Andy from The Office and sit down and cry, right?
I so too can just sit here and cry.
You could totally do that. Or you could be like, nah, bro. You could be like Hamilton. I'm not throwing away my shot. Do you like how I did that? I just crossed so many lines there.
That was good.
But anyway, what he did was he was like, babe, let's do a podcast. I want to speak on stages because I know that we have something that we can share. And I'm not going to, I'm not going to throw away the opportunity that I could have made an additional, like however many grand. I know I could make that in another way. Like I know there are an infinite amount of ways for me to make an additional income for this.
I never want to have to depend on someone else to give me a check ever again. I want to earn my own wealth. And you have started this business and you have found success. And I said, well, you know what? Then I'm going to start a podcast and we're going to find success with this.
Yes, we are.
And that's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing.
So I am motivated to earn my own buck because I'm not going to wait on anyone else ever again.
Right. And disciplined, right? Disciplined enough that, I was talking to him today about like how on Instagram, it's, like a lot of like, he's making all these amazing reels. He's making all these amazing posts. He's doing all of this work. And it seems like, like he's got a good traction, don't get me wrong, but it's like, oh, wow, like there's and he's like, nah, man.
I'm right there with you.
There's like 99 people watching. I'm there. I'm excited about it. Let's keep going. It's going to take time and I'm willing to put in the discipline to get it going. You know what I mean? The discipline, right? Because anybody and people who are entrepreneurs can talk about this too. You can decide and have this epiphany, this motivational moment where you're like, nah, man, I'm not going to let anyone try and give me a check. I'm going to get my own check. I'm going to do this on my own. There's that motivation, that intrinsic motivation that tries to like, get you to the next level. But then when you actually put things into practice and it doesn't turn out the way that you want it to at first, that's when discipline comes into check. Your discipline is stronger, has to be stronger than the motivation because it has to keep you going even when the motivation is dim. It has to keep you going even when it's not as sunshiny and rainbows as you thought it would be, right? That is why discipline for me is the most important, most pivotal thing that is missing out of people when they are trying to go after something, because they just feel good in this moment because they're like, this is what I'm going to do and I see it. This is going to be amazing. Yeah. But what are you going to do every single day to make sure that it happens, rain or shine?
Right. And with anything in life, if someone is telling you that there is a way to get rich quick, that's
it's
a
false.
load of
so
crap.
False.
Right? Every single thing that we're going to talk about throughout the history of this podcast and anyone else who actually knows what's up, they're going to tell you that it takes incredible patience. That's what they're going to tell you, that it's going to take that type of sheer will to get these things done. It takes time. There's nothing in life that is that easy, right?
It's not.
Building wealth takes
time
and work and effort. Yes.
And I feel like that is like that's a huge piece. Like that, if there's anything that gets me fired up, if you can't tell, it's this part, because how many times do I hear people say, oh, this is what I'm going to do. These are my Q1 goals. I'm going to pay off my debt. I'm going to save up $10,000. I just got a raise at work. I'm going to do all these things. And I'm over here going, yeah, how did that work the last? Like, I really, really hope that you do. I hope that you do. But what happened the last time this happened? How did that? Well, then there was this thing that happened in my family, and it just kind of got me off course. And so then it just didn't happen. And life is so crazy. And okay, well, if life keeps happening, I got something to tell you. It's never going to stop. There's always going to be a reason why the thing that you're shooting for isn't going to work. Always. There's always going to be a reason why we don't have time to do this podcast. Always. We have been sick the last 2 weeks. There's always going to be a reason why the thing you're shooting for is just not going to work. But you have to be disciplined to keep it going and actually get to the point that you want to get to.
And that's a perfect tie-in to our first way to motivate yourself. So how do you motivate yourself? Number 1, set clear and achievable goals.
Not those big lofty goals, y'all.
No, because what you just said is, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to accomplish these things in Q1. And you're sitting here like, I'm rooting for you. I'm cheering for you. But if I'm going to be real with you, it's just not going to happen.
It's not.
Because you're dreaming way too big and life is happening way too much to you. So you need to set something that is actually achievable and attainable, right? So when we say set clear and achievable goals, you need to identify specific, realistic, and measurable goals that you can work towards. Write them down, break them down into smaller tasks that you can actually accomplish. I was writing down in my notes, because that's what I do, that I do this every day. I'm sure you do this every week, or maybe you do this every morning. I literally start every day by writing down the things that I want to accomplish for that day. Not for a month ahead. I mean, for that day. I write down, what are my Instagram posts for the day? I write down, what do I want to accomplish while I'm at work? What do I want to accomplish while I'm at home for this business? So I have multiple lists. Right. They're all attainable. They're all achievable. They're small tasks, things that I can do right now.
Right now. I do the same thing for business. But one of the things that's really important to me that I've noticed over time is that when I take care of my body and I take care of my mind and spirit, the rest of my day actually flows a lot more energetically smoothly. So I always start with making sure that I am doing my devotionals, that I'm doing some prayer time, that I go for a walk outside. I've just, purchased a 3-month subscription to our gym that's down the street. So I'll walk down, and that is a really great way for me to start my morning. And I have to do these things first before I can start the rest of my day. And then I do have some business things that are always they are consistently must be done every single day, because it gets me the results that I desire in my business. And that's getting into conversations and making posts and connecting with people. It's sending our emails out. It's talking to my team to make sure my team knows what they're doing for the week. And those are the things that allow me to stay consistent. And over time, even with our finances, we have a routine. We have some clear, achievable goals. These are not lofty goals. I'm trying to do $50,000 in 1 quarter. Even in business, we had a conversation where at one point I had too big of a goal, and I could tell that it was giving me a lot of anxiety, and I didn't feel like I was doing as much. I was man, I just keep failing, right? I wasn't failing. I was still pushing forward, but I wasn't celebrating these smaller wins. So I had to make my goal a little bit smaller and achievable. I have to know who I am as a learner and who I am as a person, where my energy lies, and be able to say, you know what, as much as I would love to say that I want to get this huge lofty goal, I'm not quite there yet. I can do this every single day. I can shoot for this every single month, and I'm just going to climb that ladder and I'll get there. And again, delaying that instant gratification. It'd be beautiful to say that every single month I'm going to get 10 clients and I'm going to do X amount of dollars every single, it would be beautiful to say that, but I would be overrun and burnt out if I did that. It would be too much. It would not be it would not be balanced.
So I'm going to drop some educator terminology on these people.
Okay.
You and I both have our masters in curriculum and instruction, right?
Yeah.
So a big thing in the educator world, right? If we're designing curriculum, or if we're designing, something to help students achieve a skill that we want them to meet by the end of the quarter, we do something that's called backwards design.
Yes.
Right? UBD.
Yep.
All right. Backwards design.
And
so the whole premise of backwards design is exactly how it sounds, right? Here's big picture, here's big goal, here's where we want them to get to ultimately. Now, let's work backwards and kind of backwards map it and say, okay, let's break this down into smaller chunks. What are we going to do to get them to this point?
So that's when you have student A, and literally every single day they might have a checklist where it's like, write my name on the paper, check my work 2 times, and then tell my teacher that I completed it. That is the only thing student A is doing every single day. That's it. And it might seem like a tiny little like checklist, but it actually snowballs into the bigger picture that we're trying to get the student from point A to point B to do. So I do the same thing with my clients. I use my teacher skills.
You have to start with the end in mind.
I start with the end in mind. We want you to be able to save $6,000. We want you to be able to do all these things. That's great. Here's what we can do today to get us to that big goal, because we're not going to get there overnight. And what I need you to do is look at your money mapping, and I need you to track it. I need you to inform me that you did it, and I need us to have a conversation about where your head is at. And they go, what? And I'm like, I know it sounds crazy. I'm aware, but this is the discipline part. If we can do this discipline every single day, I guarantee you're going to get to your goal. If you just try to bank on a wing and a prayer and motivation to get you through it, you're going to fail.
So the way that we're backwards designing with our wealth, right, is by the summer, we wanted $5K for furnishing and repairs for our rental property. We wanted $10K as a down payment, plus we're going to sell our Rogue.
Yeah.
To pay like 50% for the minivan
van
that we're going to buy. And we wanted an additional $5K just for almost like an emergency fund for our rental property. If, and of course, when something goes wrong with the space, right?
We expect it.
So that's almost like 20 grand, right? So that's big picture. That's where we're trying to get to. So then what we did is we backwards mapped. We said, okay, it's this month. I think we started this back in November, last year. So we had like 7 or 8 months. And we said, okay, let's backwards map this. All right. How much money is Dan going to bring in every month? Because I have 3 pay periods occasionally. How much money is Dan going to bring in? How much is taxes going to bring in this month? How much is this going to bring in that month? I have some additional work opportunities that I do over the summer. How much is that going to bring in? So we kind of backwards mapped every month and said, okay, this is what Dan's going to have in excess every month,
right,
outside of our budget. And then we also looked at your business and said, okay, how much do you need to bring in every month for us to get that goal?
Let me just say something about that really quick, because I think this is really important for the entrepreneurs to hear. This is the reason why the conversation that we keep hearing in the entrepreneurial world is that we want to get to 100K months, 10K months. We glamorize this idea. I don't care about that at all, because I don't care about those vanity metrics. Those are even the 6 figures. Like, I know we say it, but I could care less whether I was making 6 figures, multi 6 figures, if I was a millionaire. Like, it's great. Like, I'm going to do all those things. That's a byproduct of my discipline. I know that's going to happen. So I'm not worried about those things. What matters to me, and what I try to tell my clients, is what do you need in your day to day? Right? So if I know that I need to bring in an additional $5,000, let's just make it smaller, additional $2,500. And if I brought in an additional $2,500, because we know our numbers so well, I know, like, maybe that's okay. That's one client as a $5,000 client. And I know that if they pay in cash, let's just say, I know at 50% of profit, I'm going to bring in $2,500. Boom. That's what I needed, right? For the household. So then my goal for my business is not to reach 10K months, because that's what vanity metrics are telling me to do. I'm not basing my success on what everyone else is telling me to do. I'm basing my success off of what my family needs and what's getting us closer to our goals. And if one client at 5K, and for me bringing in 2,500, and that goes to my family, gets us to our goals, guess what, baby? I'm successful. You could say whatever you want about my business and how I only make $5,000 months, but if that's all I needed, I can put all that other stress that everyone else is putting on me. That's extrinsic motivation. I don't need that, because I'm creating my own success. So if I wanted to bring in more, a lot of times that allows business owners to have a lot more freedom and a lot more space to just be like, wow, I don't have to worry about any of these other parameters anymore. I can just build my business at my pace, in the way I see fit. And I can then start saving and start building and sustainably getting my clients to where I want, aligning with the perfect clients that are perfect for me. And I actually enjoy the climb of this business, and I'm able to give more to my family. That's where I feel like the sweet spot is for all of my entrepreneurs, that they're not bowing down to the metrics that everyone else is saying they should bow down to.
And I think that's the beauty of setting clear and achievable goals, right? To motivate yourself, but just in business too, because when you're not pursuing the vanity metrics and those sexy numbers that everyone wants to hit, and you know what you need, and you set your clear and achievable goals, and you hit those clear and achievable goals,
you're always successful.
That feels good.
You're always a success.
There's no better feeling than that.
No.
You know you're a winner when you do that.
It's the best.
So, set clear and achievable goals is the first thing you need to do to motivate yourself. So we talked about a little bit about what we do to motivate ourselves. We talked about our backwards design. We talked about how we start every day by making a list of the things that we want to accomplish, and checking those things off feels good. The second thing you need to do is visualize success. We did this a lot when we were paying off our student loans, right? We saw that every month we had about almost $1,000 student loan payment, which is like a mortgage, or that was actually our rent at the time. We paid $1,000 in rent back in 2011 for our 1-bed, 1-bath, and we had a $1,000 student loan debt. But we always visualized success. Imagine yourself achieving your goals and visualize the positive outcomes that come with it.
Those side effects.
Right? That's going to help you stay motivated. That's going to help you stay focused,
disciplined.
right? So dream, right? People without dreams are pretty negative people.
Yes, they are.
People who do dream are often pretty optimistic. So we would always dream, man, if we had that extra $1,000 every month.
What could we do?
Man, what could we do? I could have a clothing budget.
Oh my gosh.
I could join a bowling league. I know that's nerdy, but man.
So nerdy.
I could get a battle station. Men know, if you know what a battle station is, it's basically your gaming center. You know what I mean?
And the thing is, I want to give you the sickest battle station. Like,
I want to sit down and cough. It's so sick. Sorry, that was bad.
Stupid. What a dad joke. But even like, we dream about our dream house. We have like a dream. We've created a dream budget. I actually created one day. And I created like pictures of like what house I would love for us to have, and like how much I'd want to pay for, how much I want to put aside every single month for my clothing budget, and clothing budget for my girls, and being able to go to Disney like 3 times a year.
Multiple times a year,
like,
yes.
I want to go with him, because going as adults or like is like chef's
Without
kiss.
kids.
It is the best vacation ever. Holler at your girl. It is the best for us. It is. It's our bougie, right? But then I also want to be able to take the kids. I want to be able to, I want to be able to take family with us and just be like, I got you, So like, we dream about all of these things, and it really helps me stay focused and disciplined on the things that I know are going to get me to that point. And again, it's not about anybody else's vanity metrics. The house that I picked out for us might be completely like, seriously, that's the house you want? Who cares? It's my dream, nachos. Like, it's mine.
Right.
So, or it's ours. It's our dream.
But I think
I love the house.
Picturing myself in that minivan and driving it around town, right?
We watched so many videos.
That visualizing that success is motivating to me.
Yes.
And I get more excited with every month that we get closer to the summer, right? So I'm just constantly looking for new things. It motivates me to create this podcast, right?
Yeah.
To create content, to create episodes, to edit. Like, I'm excited to do it all because I know what I'm working towards, and I know it's so close that I can taste it.
Yeah.
So it drives me, right? It motivates me.
I hope this is motivating you guys to be more disciplined in your money and your dreaming, because this is literally, like, we could do this all day. Like, we already do this. Like, he'll come home and I'm like, so I had another dream. And he's like, tell me more. Like,
right?
Like, we get so excited about the dreams that we have for our kids, for our life, for our family. Like, it's insane, the things that we dream about.
So how to motivate yourself. Number 1, set clear and achievable goals. Number 2, visualize success. Number 3, celebrate the small successes. I think you could liken this probably to Dave Ramsey's snowball method, right? Because he focuses more on the mental than the mathematical or the numbers, right?
Right.
Try to knock out those smaller debts or loans first. because
It's emotional.
It's emotional, right?
Yeah, the logistical people don't like his perspective there, but you have to understand that money is emotional. And so that's why he says that. If you are able to visualize that small success and you get that quick win, you're more likely to stay on top of your goal.
I like that you talked about this earlier with some of your clients. You told them, as you're going through your discipline and you're doing these things, you got to celebrate along the way.
Yeah.
Right. So it's important to celebrate your small successes, right? I had a great first month. I stayed on track. I didn't fall off. You got to celebrate that. And it doesn't always have to be this extravagant thing, but
It does not.
there are ways that you can celebrate, right? Acknowledge and celebrate your small successes and accomplishments along the way. This can boost your confidence and keep you motivated. One thing
Yes.
we did is we had those coloring pages.
Yes, if you're on our Instagram, you would have seen us do this past month. We got to we're really close to our $5,000 goal for the furnishings, and we're working on the $10,000 next. And so we were just kind of coloring it in, and that is a visual representation. I tell my clients all the time, especially if they're trying to get their spouses on board, make it visual, put it somewhere that you can see it. I liken it to like when you are in Girl Scouts and you have to sell, I never did Girl Scouts, but I imagine this is what they do. And you have to sell candy bars. You have to sell those little cookies. They probably don't say, okay, guys, you have to sell 20 of these boxes. And when you sell them, we're going to be able to like pay for our trip and pay for all of our bills. They don't do it like that, right? They go after the prizes. You do this and you get to go to space camp. That's what I remember from growing up. Space camp, always space camp. And so you were excited to sell because you wanted to get space camp, and they had these like meters with the temperature thing, the gauges at school, and you were so excited at like Girl Scouts or whatever. And that's the same thought process. If that worked for me when I was 7, surely it's going to work when I'm 34. And it does. I love seeing pictures and coloring it. And so I tell my clients, if that's what worked for you, put it somewhere public where everyone can see it, because that's going to keep you motivated to be disciplined.
Heyo.
And it's also going to keep your spouse going, what is going on? And why are you so excited about coloring this stupid thing? Well, let me tell you, hubby, let me tell you and bring you in on this excitement. We're going to be able to pay off our debt in 6 months. What? I am intrigued. Let me understand what you are doing and how we are doing this. And all of a sudden, you guys are a powerhouse.
Seeing is believing,
It is.
right? When you see it happening, you start to believe it. You buy into it.
Yeah.
And if you want your spouse to buy in, if they see that progress every month and they see it's actually happening, they're going to buy in.
They're going to buy in.
Right?
That's where it goes.
Light repels dark, right? You can only stay in the darkness for so long, right?
Yeah.
When your wife or when your husband starts showing you like, nah, I'm actually doing this thing, that person is being the light and they're repelling the darkness
Yes.
from your spouse's
You can't
brain.
wait for them to get on board. You sometimes just got to go and they'll figure it out and
Prove
they'll
it
catch
to
up.
them. All right, number 4, surround yourself with positivity. This is huge. Yeah. Surrounding yourself with positive people and things that inspire you and motivate you. This may include listening to uplifting music, reading motivational books and quotes, spending time with supportive friends and family, right? If you don't have anyone.
I was going to say, what about those people who do not have family or spouses that are encouraging or positive around
Are you
finances?
familiar with the Affluent Marriage Podcast?
Oh my gosh. You mean that that podcast with that amazing like girl who does like, 6 figures
And
her
educator with the sexy
educational-
voice?
Yeah, her educational husband
With the sexy voice?
with the sexy. Yeah.
Those people,
Those people are really positive.
they are positive people. And if you surround yourself with us,
Yeah.
we're going to motivate you.
If they're in Graham Fam, they're going to get even more positivity because they're going to get this type of content.
We talked about this in another episode, but we both have friend groups that we've
Yes.
cultivated and created. You have the Gold Gals, I have the Big Boats.
Yep.
And these are positive people that we surround ourselves with. And if we ever need someone to pour into us or to listen to us, those are the people that we talk to.
Those are the people that we
For you, it might be mom. For you, it might be a best friend. For you, it might be a coworker.
might be a coach, that mentor, all those people we said you should surround yourself by last week when we were talking about networking.
Right.
Those are the people you lean into when you need that additional boost up. And that's when I would say motivation, right? Because no one can make you, no one can want it as bad as you, right? I can't do it for you. Your coach can't do it for you. You have to want to do it for yourself. But it's okay if you need to get a dose of motivation to keep you going, to be like, you got this. Look how far you've come. You got this, right? That is totally fine. That is okay. But only you are going to be the one to actually put the discipline in.
I'm all for your support group being people that you've paid for.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what's wrong with that? Right? You've hired coaches and you still talk to them to this day.
I do.
Even when, they're not
And
in
they're
your wallet.
rooting for me. Like, they get into my DMs and they're like, I'm so proud of you. I love seeing how far you've come. And it just brings me so much happiness to be like, she saw me. She saw me. Like, she knows that I'm doing better. Like, she knows. If she's saying it, because she knows what's going on in my head, because I can have some self-doubt, like, for real. That is like the best thing ever when your mentor is able to say that. Also, if you're paying someone, you're more likely to show up.
That is the truth.
That is the truth.
So, this might be a little like, I don't know, like Debbie Downer, but our days on earth are limited, right?
That's true.
There's only so much time that you have here. Why would you want to spend your finite time surrounded by crap magnets?
Yeah.
Right?
I
Surround
like that you coined
yourself.
that phrase, crap magnets.
I've read it. It's not I'm not going to take ownership of it.
Okay.
I read it somewhere, but I love it.
But I love it. That's a good phrase.
Surround yourself with positive people, because life is too short to be listening to other people's drama and gossip all day.
It's true.
Stop going to your broke ass Jeeves friends for advice and start sticking around with the positive peeps.
Yep.
All right.
Push it further.
Number 5, practice self-care.
Can I talk about CEO retreats?
Yes, you can.
Oh my gosh.
Let me say this first.
Okay, do
you
it.
need to take care of yourself.
Yes.
Take care of yourself physically, take care of yourself emotionally, take care of yourself mentally, right? As someone, myself and my wife, who have both gone to therapy and been through it,
Love therapy.
right? Love us some therapy, love us talking to others, right? Who don't know us,
Yep.
right? Take care of yourself mentally. This can include getting enough sleep. That's taking care of yourself.
Right.
This can include eating healthy. This can include exercising regular. This can include, just taking time to relax and de-stress.
Yes.
Go for it, Kim. Tell us about CEO
CEO retreats are my favorite thing. I actually did not. I mean, I guess it's not really that big of a thing. I love your cup, by the way.
If you've not seen, if you're not watching, I have a
I have some pretty
cactus
funny
cup
a cactus cup.
that says, "Hope your Christmas is lit."
Yeah.
I don't really know why it's talking about Christmas being lit
It's a
cactus
It's a
cup
cactus Christmas
with Christmas lights on it.
Christmas lights.
All right.
But CEO retreats. So Kelsa Dickey, who is a financial coach, like she's a financial coach, but she teaches financial coaches. And I got this from her, but then I also got it from my coach, who is amazing. And she travels all over the place for work. And she also does CEO retreats. And so it was hearing from these amazing women who are very successful and that they take time for themselves often. And I was like, tell me more. And so I decided to do a CEO retreat at least 2 to 3 times. I try to do it every quarter, but 2 to 3 times a year. And so last year I did my first one, and it was at the end of the quarter. I have worked really hard. I've been disciplined, right? I've been trying to get to these certain goals. And so I would take 2 days off. I would go to a nice hotel, and I got a massage, and I sat in the tub. I got myself a bottle of wine. I wrote down all of the goals, all of the things that I was just so excited about from this past quarter. I was dreamcasting the future, like what's the next quarter going to look like. I was, basically just like being so like overly excited about myself. And I was kid free and husband free. We went out to dinner though.
We did have dinner.
But like, it was just really nice to be able to just treat myself as the CEO, right? And I will often, like with my team, I will give them something to just say thank you. I'll give them a nice little gift card or something and just say, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being on the team. And I just feel like the idea of doing a CEO retreat is the way I practice self-care and the way that I stay motivated, the way that I stay disciplined and make sure that I can stay that I make sure I go back to self, because this is where it starts. If the CEO is feeling overwhelmed, drained, is not feeling like good, aligned in their business, the whole business is going to fall apart. It's not going to feel right. So a lot of my clients are CEOs. They are creating their own business, and I want an empire, and I want to make sure that they understand that they, at the top of the list, need to make sure they take care of themselves and put themselves first in the self-care area.
And it doesn't have to be this glamorous experience, right? You went
yes,
to
it does. I'm just kidding.
You went to it was a nice hotel, but it was a local hotel,
Yeah,
local hotel,
it's a staycation.
maybe like 25 minutes away, and it was a nice area.
Yeah.
but you came back so refreshed
It's my favorite.
and so motivated
Yeah.
to get back to where you saw what I did there.
Yeah, I know. I saw.
But you really did come back as a new you. It
Yeah.
was you, but it was like new and improved.
I was
You, like,
excited.
full of rigor.
I was
just
really
ready to
able
go.
to soak in quarter one as opposed to just being like, oh yeah, quarter one's done. Let's go to quarter two. Like I was really able to soak in and go, congratulations, Kim, you did it. Clink. And it's just, do a CEO retreat.
self-care.
It does not have to be this big grandiose thing. I did that, but you can simply just take yourself out to breakfast and just do the same thing in a shorter day. But I'm a better wife. I'm a better mom. I'm a better CEO. I have better work-life balance if I can create that self-care time for myself.
All right, so we're moving into our final way to motivate yourself.
Can I take this one?
Yes, go for it.
Challenge yourself. This is the discipline part. That's why I was like, yes. Push yourself out of your comfort zone and try new things. This can help you grow and develop new skills, new disciplines, which can be highly motivating. This is what coaching did for me. Yes.
I said this is what coaching did for you,
Yeah.
right? It pushed you out of your comfort zone, right? Your
need
first year, you had a coach who pushed you out of your comfort zone
Yeah.
in the way that you showed yourself, to your community, right? The way you showed up is what I want to say. The way you showed up, like you were way more bold,
yeah.
after you hired coach, because you were very reserved and very hesitant. You're like, oh, I don't want to step on toes. I don't want to hurt feelings. Like, I don't want to say that and
Yeah.
make enemies. And then you got a coach and they were like, bump that, like, right? Step
You
on
have
toes.
to be polarizing. As a people pleaser, it's really hard for me to.
And they also pushed you, to change. They helped you to see your value,
Yeah.
and they helped you to offer a value that aligned and matched with your offerings.
Yeah.
So they challenged you. And even the coach that you have now is challenging you, right?
Yeah.
To show up, to be consistent, to offer,
Yeah.
to receive what you're worth.
Yep. And that challenging is really what's going to cause you to stay disciplined, because as soon as you get really complacent in the way that you're doing your business, managing your money, again, it's going to become complacent and you're just going to be like, this is it. This is all we're doing. As soon as you stop dreaming, as soon as you stop saying this is my next level, as soon as you stop doing that, you're going to stop challenging yourself, which then the motivation's going to die down. You're going to be like, this doesn't really matter. That's when that happens. So the challenging yourself, I feel like, is a really big part of that discipline that that kind of goes hand in hand with that motivation.
Absolutely. So for us, we challenged ourselves in ways to find multiple streams of income to help us reach our overall goal. And I think the biggest challenge that we took, or, that we tried to overcome or operate, is this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Because things didn't work the way we envisioned them.
Right.
And then we created our own success.
Yep.
So we're challenging ourselves, and it's keeping us motivated.
Yeah. And I think here's something that's really important to note here. We don't have to do this. Any of the situations that we're in right now, we didn't have to do this. The house that we're currently in is pretty much paid off. We could sell it in the market that we're in right now, get all of the money back that we invested into the property, and then some. We could have invested it into a nice little van that we paid in cash and a nice little house on a little bit of property, not a lot, but a little bit of property. And we could have settled into a house and been perfectly fine doing that. And we could have just lived our lives and just done what we wanted to do. Everything that we're doing right now, renting the space out, saving up to get the car, renovating,
Saving up for a down payment.
Renovating the space, all that stuff. These are things that we chose. We are choosing
We're taking the hard route.
this hardship. We understand that 100%. There are totally easier ways out. And there's an easier way out for you, as if you're an entrepreneur, there are easier ways out for you. But you're choosing this. Everyone has a hard. Choose your hard. This is the hard we're choosing, and we have to stay disciplined and motivated so that we can get to the desired outcome that we want.
So to recap and to move forward, how to motivate yourself. Number one,
And stay disciplined.
set clear and achievable goals. Then you need to visualize success and celebrate the small successes along the way. Surround yourself with positive people. Stay away from the crap magnets. Practice self-care. Take yourself on a CEO retreat. Go to some therapy, whatever you need to do to find your zen, and challenge yourself. Push yourself out of your comfort zone and try new things and see what you can do. All right. That's how you motivate yourself. That's how you stay motivated. All right. So remember, right? Everyone is unique, and what motivates you or anyone else is going to be different, but it's essential to know yourself and to know what motivates you, and make sure what's motivating you is not jealousy. It's not fear. It's not anger or bitterness. It's not greed, right? That's not going to bring you happiness.
Right. And as remember what we said before, more money is simply going to enhance what's already within you. So if you are fearful, the more money you bring in, the more fears are going to come up for you. If you are jealous, the more money that you bring in, the more jealousy is going to come out of you, because that's what you're going to see. You're going to constantly see more and more and more things that you want. That's where greed is going to come from. But if you're coming from a lens of, I want to do better, I want to be better for my family, I want to leave a legacy, I want to be not just better for everybody else, but I want to be a better spouse, a better wife, whatever it is, that is what's then going to be highlighted as you bring in more income and manage it. That is really what we're after. So find that intrinsic motivation, make sure it's aligned with the things that you actually care about, and then go for it and stay disciplined. Don't just keep it up here. Don't just read the books. Don't just listen to the podcast and go, that was really nice and it made me feel good. Now it's time to put something into action. So our CTA for you is what wakes you up every morning and what is motivating you to build generational wealth. What is the thing that's going to help you say, I'm going to choose this, whatever it is, because I know that this little decision I'm making here is going to be beneficial in me building generational wealth. It might look small to me right now, but I know that over time, these things are going to snowball into bigger wins. So what are you choosing to make sure that you're building the life you want?
As we've gone through this episode, I know that we've kind of had our little verses here between motivation and discipline, but the more that we talk about it, the more I feel like it goes hand in hand.
They do.
Motivation ebbs and flows, right? Motivation goes up, motivation goes down, but motivation is very much like we talked about, that kindle or that spark to the flame, fanning the flame. And to keep that flame from dying, you have to have discipline. You have to have those procedures and those practices in place that you do day in and day out. And that's going to keep you on the road to building generational wealth. It takes time, it takes effort, but that's what it takes. And how bad do you want it? So here is the Affluent Archive, our little nugget of wisdom for this episode. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
It's like one of my favorite little quotes.
If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You have to plan, right? You have to set attainable, you have to set achievable goals. You have to plan. If you're not setting goals, you're not motivating yourself. If you're not checking in on those goals and staying disciplined, you are planning to fail.
Yeah. You're simply just you're going from motivation to motivation, and it cannot sustain you. A solid plan with routines and strategies that will take you from day to day is going to be the thing that gets you to the plan that actually comes to fruition and stays sustainable. So I hope I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It's looking like it's about to be a two-parter because we just kind of went off. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it gave you a host of just aha moments. And if you guys decided to put something into action today from this episode, please let us know. Enter our Instagram at the Affluent Marriage Pod. Let us know what takeaways you got from this episode. I cannot wait to hear what mindsets are shifted from this.
This is my wife, Kimberly Graham. She is the multi-six-figure financial coach, and I'm Daniel Graham, your host.
It's my husband.
An educator.
He's a sweetie pie.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Affluent Marriage Podcast. Go live in love, walk in wealth.
We'll see you guys next time, Graham Fam.